Let's get started. Just going to turn these tunes down. And I want to go ahead and welcome everybody to Lunch with Lucy. This is our first show of the year. We're so excited. Just need to do a few announcements before we get started. My name is Kate Remillard. I'm on the marketing team with VHT Studios. And I just want to mention that, of course, we welcome your questions. Just add them to the Q&A box on your screen. We'll take them kind of during the course of the show, and we'll have time at the end to answer questions. Be sure to stick around to the end because we're going to announce our winners of the 5 DoorDash gift cards. So stick around to the end. Also, I encourage you to like and subscribe Lucy's YouTube channel. You can find all of our previous episodes of Lunch with Lucy, her interviews. She has a great interview with Mike Pappas in addition to this show. So be sure to find Lucy's YouTube channel, subscribe, amazing content on there. And with that, I'm just going to introduce Lucy herself. So here she is.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to start 2023 with Mike Pappas, the amazing guest. I would like to also mention to you that now we are part of Metaport. A lot of you know that, but just a reminder. And now I am a director of strategic engagement. I'm getting used to my new title, one is longer than the other.
Congratulations.
Director of strategic engagement. I should say that without an accent and in one sentence. So thank you so much. And like I said, our guest is Mike Pappas. Mike and I, we go back a couple years and we did the interview together. Mike is the president and CEO of Kai's Realty Family, and he's Kai's Company, and also CEO of leading real estate companies of the world, which you know is a nationwide and a worldwide organization, and it's great for networking, referral business, and just a prestigious by invitation only.
Right, it's a great 130,000 agents in 550 firms in 70 countries, and basically Baird and Warner, as we mentioned, a lot of the top premier firms in the world are part of that organization. So it's an honor to represent them this past year. And we were in Dubai, we were in Thailand, we were in Portugal, and we were able to see the network in the world exist, not just only in the United States. So quite exciting times.
That's why you wanted to be CEO, so you can go to Dubai and Portugal.
That's right. I mean, we are announcing a new president coming out the next day or so. So that's exactly what it is. But it's been a kind of a fun run. My year's up. They're having a Vegas event, a training and a program for all the associates in Las Vegas at the Wynn in March. And then we'll be turning the gavel over to a new chairman of the board. And so my term is up.
Well, enjoy it while you can.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. And I would like to start with a topic that kind of bothers everybody about shifting market. And last month I met with Beth Friedman from Brown Harris Stevens, part of Leading RE, and she was saying, no, it's lumpy market. So Mike, please share with us your
Well, you all know, I think everybody on there knows that we had the boom of the market that was surreal. I think if you look at 20 and 21 and 22, you need to probably erase that from your mind, because property sold in a day, you put it on, we had low interest rates at 3%, and we're back to what normal is. She's saying it's lumpy because we are seeing the interest rates rise, although they're starting to fall. Looks like inflation is starting to come down. So we're encouraged at the turn to come out. So you're right, it's adapting to the new market where she's saying lumpy, trying to see the pause by the sellers and the buyers, who's going to flinch, if the sellers are going to come down, if the buyers are going to come up, what's happening with inflation, what's happening in interest rate. And once that clears up, we think it could be smooth sailing. So the worst, in my opinion, is behind us, maybe the fourth quarter, maybe the beginning of the first quarter, and then it should start improving for the rest of the year.
Then what would you say the agent should be doing to make money in 2023? I mean, they should have been preparing for that in December and November, but the ones who are kind of behind or had such a good year, they didn't think it's a rush to change the strategy. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, hopefully you save some money in the boom and you put some money away. Number two, I think we need to get dressed and go back to work. Not that you haven't been working and not that it hasn't been there, but I do think the stay at home without the engagement and mindset that says I've got to really engage with my customers and I have to now prospect or look for past clients. I was just talking to Lori Davies, one of our top associates. She has her top 100 clients. She's been in the business 23 years. And I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm calling them 5, 10 a day and saying, how are you doing? And making those connections. So you need to be intentional, but I do think you need to go to a model where you have to prospect, make the calls, do the things, the basics, which is farming again, mail outs, just listed and just sold, making the connections in the communities, being on social media, and really re-engaging back with your clients.
So, Kate, can we see what results are for our first poll? Because it kind of comes together with what Mike is talking about. Oh, okay. So can you read it out? Although I do have my glasses on.
Yeah, so we made it multiple choice, so people were able to choose multiple things that they're focusing on, but it looks like the biggest winner here was expanding their client base and building those client relationships. So that's great to see.
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, I think you can't automate relationships. We can leverage technology to help you utilize it. I mean, putting them on a shared drip with a market watch for properties coming up, or their market reports for their community, and giving them data and information. I think realistically, Lucy, what is happening now is in the boom, you didn't need to really market, promote, know anything. They just said, buy this. If not, you're going to lose it. So it was a fear factor. Today, you're going to have to dissect how do you deal with the interest rates? What's happening? We talk about the 10-year treasury that's going to predict the mortgage because there's a 1.7% spread between the 10-year treasury. 10-year treasury right now is 3.4. Means the rate should be 5.1, 5.2, but it's at 6+. So we think rates will be subsiding and coming down. So how do you educate 2-1 buy downs with the mortgage? And how do you tell a seller, if you pay $10,000, you can tell the buyer that they're going to get 4% money today for the first year and a 5% loan the second day. So how do you package, whether they do or they don't, you at least have to communicate to them to position the property a little bit better.
And then education, I think, is also important. I think it also depends on the firm or the company you are part of, that they should bring that education to the agents so they can take it to the buyers and sellers,
right,
and try to convince them, if you will, or at least educate them or suggest them,
right,
to them what should be done. And I would like to ask you this question, and we spoke briefly about that, about moving brokerages. Some brokerages are just closing offices. They're closing every, 1 out of 5 out of 10. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
The trend is there, and just about every single large firm.
Yeah, well, what's happening is Wall Street is taking over Main Street in the real estate business. And so what you're seeing is these public companies that in the cyclical business that we're used to, every 5-7 years, you're going to get a downturn, are making radical decisions to cut costs, to downgrade, to downsize, and go through with it. We believe, and I may be wrong, that they're temporary, a year in the making, and then we get a run of 5 or 6 years, and they may be making short-term decisions for their quarterly reports rather than thinking through a longer-term approach. So, but there's great firms out there, and I do think you need to be prudent in this market and maybe look at things that you were spending money on that weren't bringing in revenue and eliminating those things. And I think just in your own personal business and in regular business, you need to be prudent. But you're right. Radical changes in the marketplaces. Some of the iBuyers have all left. And I think that's really bodes well for us. I mean, yesterday, 5 years ago, in 10 years, 20, since the internet, they've been telling me we're going to be out of business and that people are going to go direct. And what we just saw was billions of dollars being spent going direct to iBuyers, and it didn't work. And the iBuyers couldn't figure out how to make the margins work because it's a complicated business. So it comes back to relationships so it put the realtor in the forefront, I think, is actually our time right now. Whereas yesterday, maybe there was a lot of noise around us and a lot of investments that were trying to disrupt us.
Well, you are growing. You are not planning to close any offices.
No, you have to grow. If you don't grow, you die. I mean, I think and the margin squeeze, if you got agents on here, they're not going to worry about the broker side, but the payouts have gone up dramatically. And so the services are needed. And so how do you balance all of that to be able to handle that properly? Mortgage, title, and insurance and property management are key to the sale, and being able to evolve to that to give a one-stop shopping with great service, I think, is the future of the larger brokers as you move forward.
So, and you do, like at Kai's company, you do have
all
of the products and services that are needed for buyers, sellers, and for agents to feel at ease in a way.
Right. Well, I think it's, again, to the consumer, they don't want to have to shop. I was just with the human resource director for one of the largest employers, 22,000 employees in South Florida. And they say they came from Arkansas, but then when they came to South Florida, they didn't know anybody. And they don't have they don't know the neighborhood. So in the smaller towns that everybody, you got the ring. So you have to offer those services to give the confidence to the consumer that it's going to get taken care of properly. And it's not like a small town where everybody knows everybody. You know the plumber, you know the roofer, and you know everybody else that you can use.
And there is no place to be in Miami, so they probably are moving to Fort Lauderdale and Boca and all the way north to Melbourne.
With salmon swimming upstream here. We're moving from Miami, going up the East Coast, looking for less expensive properties.
Oh, I missed the poll results. You can just mention it, Kate, if you will.
Yeah, so the majority of people, 87% of these folks are staying put. They're not moving. And then there was about 5 of you who said you're just going to kind of see what happens this year, but nobody said they were moving.
I would say that dealing with your broker and where you are is probably the best, and getting the resources through the boards, through the MLS, through the internet. You got great coaches. There's a lot of data and information. The problem, Lucy, is information is easy, execution is hard. So getting to work and making the calls and connecting with your folks and having the knowledge is really the engagement. And if you don't like people, and if you aren't trying to serve them, you may want to get out of this business if you think you can automate it and not deal with the personality. But what makes it exciting is each deal is different. Every day is not the same. And you've got all those challenges, and it takes creativity. And you all know how hard it is, and that you can't bottle that in a bottle and give it out.
Well, I'm impressed with 87%. That means that the companies you are part of right now are doing something right. They support you. They are here for you. They are there for you. They are being creative for you to be happy and successful. So my compliments to,
Thank you for all our associates saying that. Even if you were thinking about leaving us, you said you weren't.
And talking about creative, marketing strategy is important. And Mike, I've been in marketing all my life. So for me, it's like a goal that everyone is using professional marketing. Now we're part of Matterport. So digital twin, the Matterport scans, the data, it's so important. And it's and actually COVID showed us that it's important, and you better learn and embrace. And the ones who didn't lost.
Well, in the boom, you didn't need marketing, because the property would sell in a day. You'd put up 3 pictures and you'd put it on a thing. You didn't need to put it in the MLS, and it was happening. Those days are gone. And you all know 30 well-taken photos, which are videos, Matterport going through the home, and that positioning the property properly. And with technology now, you can take a home that doesn't look so well and you can dress it up. We actually had a buyer of a property that was vacant. He went to his designer and said, I want what they did on the site. And build my home accordingly, because he fell in love with the look and the feel of it. So no question that if you're not, properties are going to stay on the market longer. You're going to have to bring the price down. All of that's going to matter in how you deal with it. So if you're not using Matterport, if you're not using good photography, if you're not using video, I think you're going to miss the boat on selling that property properly.
And kind of, following on what you said about building a relationship humanizing your marketing strategy is also very important. So by introducing Matterport, for example, or professional photography, by making everything so convenient and easy and simple, you are making your proposition human. You are talking to the buyer and you are saying, what else do you need to understand what I'm trying to say here? Is there anything else you need? But I think I covered just about all. And that is a great personalized approach that is very important. And for those of you who are not friends with Matterport yet, and you don't understand the technology, you better embrace it, because 2023 is going to be brutal.
Well, properties are going to expire. People are going to stay on the property because the expectations of the seller are here. The reality of the buyer is here. And until you can bridge that gap through this process and communication, and no communication is good communication, meaning no showings. You need to communicate to the seller there's no showings. And that means that through the videos and through the internet and through all these places, List Track, you can find out who's looking at the properties on the backside of your properties and indicating that to the seller that even though nobody came through, they're still seeing it. So communication to your consumer, to your client, is critical. It's interesting you talked about Matterport and VHT. I think if you don't, we're finding expireds are rising and we're getting our people to work expireds. You do need to pay attention to the do not call. There is a lawsuit that many of you saw through a competitor, Keller Williams, settled for $40 million because their agents were calling the do not call. And so as you're prospecting more, I would advise you to check the do not call list. You can email, you can mail, but don't call people on the do not call unless you have permission to that, unless your system's set up for that.
So does the company, like for example, in your situation,
we have a do not call list that can scrape it. You can look at a number up. You can find out where it's there. It's a lot of numbers that are on the do not call. So it is becoming, and there are these law firms looking to come after us now and catch us. One call is maybe okay, but it's the second or third call. But then when you combine as a company, I wouldn't say that, but if you call and I call and we're with the same company, then that's two calls and that's the red flag. And those people that are looking for that, I think are trying to set some of us up. We also got the other big suit going on with the NAR.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. So National Association of Realtors. So let's talk about that lawsuit.
Yeah, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is suing, saying, should we have a mandatory cooperation in the MLS? And they're fighting that, saying that was a restraint of trade. And I don't know what the answer is. It got delayed till the end of this year. A lot of large major firms and the National Association of Realtors are in that suit. My belief is it doesn't matter because the consumer benefits with cooperation. And so they'll ask for it and tell you to have it. They don't want you to vest pocket. England is that way where you have to go to the firm. But the rest of the world, as I go around, without forced compensation and cooperation, they do cooperate. In Poland, in Thailand, the brokers do cooperate on their own, even though it's not through the MLS. So we'll adapt, we'll change, we'll figure it out. And I think it will be not maybe as easy if they break the MLS, but probably more than likely, I think they won't, and we'll be still here after this, after the settlement and moving on.
So do you expect MLSs to combine and be stronger? Because right now you take Florida, you take New Jersey, it's just like the states that I'm familiar with, they have so many MLSs and they overlap everywhere. And the fees the agent has to pay, and plus the confusion and the final consumer.
Yeah, well, you're talking to the agent and to the broker. That's a dilemma. Do they offer great services of what I believe the voice of the realtors, and they do a lot of lobbying and have done great jobs for us. The MLS offering that service is not so easy, although the internet is there now. And then also the keeping the status, checking up on the quality of that information takes time and effort. So I think there's a role there, and there's maybe a lot of people that are playing within the MLS, but is there going to be a continued consolidation? Yes. And can you leverage it? Do you see one state of Florida eventually having an MLS? Maybe a nation. We've got it already through, and that would be the other thing. Broker attribution changed. I don't know if they know that. When you're talking about Matterport and putting your thing, Zillow is a broker and they have to follow the IDX rules. So what changed through the MLS this last November was they have to put the name and number of the agent in their spot now. We do too. Now on all Kais.com listings that are other cooperating brokers, their name and numbers there. So you may want to check what the rules of your broker are and whose name and number is on that. And hopefully you should be getting more contacts if you're positioning it more through those services and through those networks.
Yeah, and speaking of Zillow, so they are everywhere. They are trying to conquer the world, and and everyone have this love-hate relationship. So, what's your opinion on that?
I think they got their hat handed to them with the iBuyer approach and lost billions of dollars. I do think they have a rent model or a shared commission model through their lead generation through the Premier Agent. So, certain agents or firms that embrace that philosophy of taking leads, working through it. But at the end of the day, we see what I've seen, and it's been 20 years, lead conversion is 1%, 2%, 3%. Relationship conversion is 30, 40, 50%. So it just depends on how you want to play. There's going to be a certain market that's going to be there, but I think we've all learned now 20 years later that the market's a lot bigger than anybody that, and you can define your market and work your market and earn your market if you want to do that.
Thank you. I believe in relationships. I built my own business for 20 years. It was the base was relationship, and that's why it's so strong.
Right.
And
that's why you pick up the phone. That's why I'm here.
And in addition to relationship, I'm being very persistent.
Yeah.
Like
she would be a great realtor. Let me tell you. She makes the calls, does the things, and does the actions, everything else. So I'm encouraged about the future. I believe the inflation has peaked. I believe the rates will start to drop. I believe that listings will be on the market longer. So you're going to have to market them better and become really astute at getting price reductions. We're already seeing the price reductions, and we're seeing that the expectations of sellers higher than the market. So those motivated sellers will adjust. And those that aren't motivated, there's going to be more opportunities in the marketplace. So the market is ripe for those who work. What we think is going to happen is the hanger-on, the people that picked up business in the boom, the friends and family, those may fail, but the real successful people in this market will actually gain market.
And that kind of brings me to referral business. And being part of leading real estate companies of the world, their foundation is referral business, is the network.
Convert 50% of the leads that come through the system, which is really unbelievable. I mean, every 2 leads that are given in the leading real estate companies of the world, 1 of them is sold.
Wow.
Yeah, it's power because it's a relationship handoff to another great firm and has the great service. And so it really is they've really perfected that process. It's not just throwing it out to some Tom, Dick, or Harry.
I like that. I'm going to remember that one. But if you are not part of Leading RE, there are other organizations who have strong referral business, like Coldwell Banker. They refer to each other. Berkshire Hathaway, Home Services. And if you belong to a smaller firm and you are not part of big organization, what role would you play in referral?
I think you can. I mean, I think with the internet now, you can find a firm. You can we can go to Seattle and find out the big firms, and you pick up a phone call and you can talk to somebody and you can find the network. And so it's just working that relationship and thinking your business is bigger than just your local market. We do about 8-9% of our business. So we have a director of relocation, Denise Talboy, and about 8 people then. And we did about $650 million last year through relocation. We just met with corporations. So there is a whole business that you can work if you're in that. And I think you can find the networks and you can find the people. And I think you can be smart about it.
And as a matter of fact, Kate, we had lunch with Lucy about 1.5 years ago about referral business, and they were agents from different companies, and they have part of their referral, not necessarily their own company, but 80% were from other firms throughout the country that they were constantly in touch.
CRB, there's a lot of options there. I think Tom Ferry has a network. I think there's just I think you can do the homework and find that. But again, it's just a small portion. It's an add-on add-on. It's a benefit. It's the cherry on the ice cream. At the end of the day, your core business is what you direct. I'm a firm believer, be in the community, be charitable in the community, be engaged in the community. Farming, I think, works as you get knowledgeable and giving good information. Social, we have a guy, Billy Nash, that's probably the best on social media. He's blogging and creating your aura. Lucy is that, creating your brand, being real TV online now. I think you can do all those things, but you have to be intentional. You have to have a focus. You have to have the desire. You have to have the discipline and know what you're doing to create that for you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Mike. I can see that there's some comments and some questions, Kate. Can we?
Yes. Yes, let's see here. So Jill Southern says she's still seeing multiple offers coming on listings since so low on inventory. Can you give a quick explanation on why we're still so low on inventory?
Yeah, I think there's $50 trillion of equity, not equity, of value in the United States in homes and condos. There's only $14 trillion of debt. Think about that, which is shocking. 1/3 of the homes have no mortgage on them, which is, again, blows my mind. And of the homes that have loans, the 66% that have loans, 80% of them have loans under 4% and have 50% more equity because the prices have risen. So I think what you're seeing is people are just saying, I'm not selling. I got a 3% mortgage and I got equity in this home and I'm not going to go get a 6 or 7% mortgage. My wife, I raised 5 kids. We got a big house. I mean, I'm a baby boomer that should be setting back and she won't sell the house. And it's those requirements. So I think what you're seeing is sellers waiting to see. There's a fear that prices are going to drop, and they definitely are flattening, and you may see a little bit of a tipping point based on inventory. But just what you're saying, I just talked to an agent yesterday, and he said I listed a $600,000 house, had 30 people through open houses, got 2 offers sold in a day. So I think if you price them right in certain communities, and you know that segment of the market and the days on market, I mean, it's still a strong market. So listings are the key. We're seeing inventory rise. It's going from 1 month to 3 month to 4 month, but still lower than the typical 6 month. So therefore, it's still a seller's market.
What else is there, Kate?
We just have a great comment from Julie saying that Matterport has been really well received by her clients, and they love to keep the link to view after they moved out, which is a great win-win for everybody. I think we've seen that too, where sellers like to have that kind of piece to keep with them, and they can always go back and walk through their home like years later. It's kind of a cool feature. And
I think the Matterport, if I'm not mistaken, has where you can tag the appliances.
There we go, Mike. Yeah.
So, she didn't tell me this, but again, that's raising the bar, the experience. You see the type of appliances, you see what's in there, you can make comments, so it engages the people. Now, I'm not a guy that would do the tech, but what I'm learning is the baby boomers are 15% of the working population today, maybe 20%.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So under the baby boomers is 80% of the working population. So we're having to adapt to that marketplace, to those individuals. 34 years old is the average age of a first-time home buyer. And there's 5 million 34-year-olds turning 34 for the next 2 years. So it's a whole different world. And I think they're used to that environment where we may be used to the telephone.
That's great statistics, guys.
Yeah.
So what is that? Can you read it, please? Do you mind, Kate?
Yeah, I'm not sure on the answer on that. Does Street Easy still accept Matterport, or what?
I'm pretty sure, yes, because it's in the city and we work a lot in New York City, and Street Easy is mostly in Manhattan. And I'm 99% sure yes, because we are growing business there.
And the last point is we didn't spend the money in the boom because you didn't need to. I think the brokers and associates that continued to market their properties properly, that gets the eye of everybody else in the community. And so sharing that to the consumers, I mean, we're downloading email addresses, we're emailing that out to the communities, and doing 360 circles around the home and making sure you're showing them the promotion. That's what's going to attract the next listing, because you're properly marketing this listing. And so it just builds and crescendos on the work that you're doing.
I always said that whatever you are doing for this listing, it's your investment in yourself, in your brand, and in the future listing. Because when you go to a listing presentation, or when you would like to just at least introduce yourself as a realtor to a potential seller, you have to have a good record, just like anything else.
So our answer is let's say that the units, they're going to come out compared to last year, maybe 20, 25% down. And it may go to 10%, but there's still 75, 80% of the business. So if you had to contact 100 people to get a deal or two before, now you just need to up your game to 150. So it's just a little bit more work will keep you doing the same, and prices have risen that should make up for any loss. So I'm actually a little bit more bullish on this year than most, but we're going to find out. But if you're not working hard, and if you're not working intentionally, if you're not getting up and going back to work, I think you may miss and then really start to question what the opportunities are, because it's not going to come to you as easy as it did in the 20 and 21, 22 market.
Look at it as the opportunity to go shopping for new clothes.
Yeah.
You can sit at home for 2 years in your pajamas, and now you can go and get brand new wardrobe. We do have
let's answer one more question here and then we'll wrap up. But Christina's wondering about the referrals through leading RE. And as a member, where do you get those referrals? I think it's through.
So I think each broker has their own programs, and it is a specialty to get that conversion. So I would talk to your broker. We have a department. They have to go through a certain amount of training because it takes a unique person. You have to do area tours. You have to work with rentals. That's something you do a lot of work, and it's a discounted commission. And a lot of top producers don't want to pay the referral and get less of the fee. So I would say talk to your broker, find out where it is. But again, I wouldn't count my business on that accordingly, but there is some business there.
Just before we go to the wrap up, 2 words. What are you wishing to a brand new agent who is coming to the market, or who's coming to the real estate market as a brand new, young, ambitious, no experience?
Yeah, I think the market, the world is your oyster, but I would either may think about getting on a team, and just because then you're going to learn from that. B, you better have a strong manager or coach, and I would meet with that person every week, if not more, because if you're not holding yourself accountable and learning, well, it takes 10,000 hours. That's 5 years of learning to really learn the business. So I'd be asking a lot of questions. I'd be watching my top producers, and then I would be doing what the training and the people said, almost with blinders on, not thinking, because it's going to take you 30, 60, 90 days to get up and running. And along the way, you're going to have discouragement, but you've got to stay the course. And persistent pays off. And once you break it, then it starts rolling. But you got to get to that point to do the dirty work and the hard work to get to the success. And competence builds confidence. And so that's where you have to kind of play the game, get on the bike, fall off, get on the bike again, fall off, and then you learn your trade.
I love that. Thank you, Mike.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Mike. This was awesome. How can people find you and reach out to you if they would like to connect with you?
Mike Pappas at Kais.com. It looks like we have 4 names: Kayas, Kais, Keys, and Yaves, which is, you guys can translate that. So it's 2 KEYES.com, and Pappas has 2 P's in it. Mike Pappas. All one word.
And he replies to all the emails.
Yeah, that's
Please
my
note.
That's a problem. At 11 o'clock at night, I'm doing emails to make sure I clear them down.